Hi, Rich. Since we're unmuted and broadcasting here, I would welcome people to the zoning board of appeals of Pine Plains monthly meeting for May. Okay, actually got the date right. The only thing that got me was a little meme that said, it may be cold, it may rain, it
May snow.
yep, may snow. And it may do a lot of things. We have a quorum. We did change the time of our meeting in order to accommodate the town is also having the Board of Assessment review, which I can do on broadcast and say if this is the day, if you wanted to dispute your assessment. The Board of Assessment review meets at 7 p.m. this evening, so hopefully we will be done by that time.
I have anything. July.
Yeah.
It's all in here. So.
And with that, we have really only two, one actual application to talk about. It is the Hudson Company and the representatives. You guys have to help me with names here.
I'm Jamie Hamill.
Yeah, Jamie,
This is Karen Labruto
okay.
from Labella. Right.
Oh, here we have another member here, so this is good.
What's up, Doc?
Yeah.
You want to pull up?
Yeah, or yeah, slide around to the back end.
Okay.
How are you? And so we have had a informational meeting in the past with Jamie, conceptually discussing this project and what I would hope that you folks would be able to do to us to spend I don't know when that was, 6-9 months ago. It's been a period of time. I know that you've done a lot of work. And that you have taken your concept and made it firmer, and if you could sort of take us back through the whole project again.
Sure. Happy to.
And the floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you. Hi. Thanks for having us. Jamie's Karen. Wow, we've done so much the last 9 months. Let's see. Well, the project's gotten a little bit larger, a little bit more beautiful, a little bit more exciting. We have purchased 4 acres and the existing warehouse at 2436 Route 83. We are in contract to purchase an additional 8 acres, and we're going for a lot line adjustments and dividing the two. Those 8 acres are from Dale Ancient.
An additional 8 acres.
Yes, the total project will be 12.
Where are you in the lot line adjustment? And is that going to require a public hearing? Well,
Yeah. Yeah, the public hearing is set for June
11th.
June 11th. And before I forget, one of the things that I feel that the town has slipped up on with Dale Mitchell is part of the comprehensive plan called for the bikeway ability, trails bikeway through Dale's property to the Claire Speeder property. Dale has done a couple things where the town has kind of dropped the ball and not done that. This is going to give us another opportunity to raise that with Dale, which will affect you. So it could be through Dale's remaining property. It could be along the frontage of 82 and 83, which I would think if you're talking about sidewalk and things that people can walk to your showroom, you may be easily able to accommodate it. I'm just saying, expect that interest to be raised. Okay.
You mentioned Claire, whose property is it? Can you tell us graphically where?
So the next, it's on the opposite. If you went, your project is going to the county highway garage.
Yeah.
the next property to the east on the opposite side of the road is the Clare property. That's where we're trying to get from the town center to the Clare, if there's a railroad right by there. And that's what we're trying to get to.
Is there a rail trailer?
No, it used to be
It is part of the comprehensive plan to have that happen in the future, and it's our obligation. The town has adopted that as a formal part of the town comprehensive plan.
Just how old? At this point?
It was
Thank you.
redone under the previous supervisor, so it's about 6 years.
Trish, can we pull up maybe the slide that might tell a little bit about the better speaking? I think everybody here knows, we're like in the old Carvel property, we make kind of specialty wood flooring, paneling, and beams. Scott Feldman, he's a master woodworker. He makes grandfather clocks in his spare time for fun, and we're lucky to have him about 40 hours a week. The next slide just gives you a sense of the kinds of projects we work on. They range from super rustic and kind of modern. These are the clients that we're going to be the architects and the designers of these projects are the clients that we're going to bring to Pine Plains. This is the site plan.
Survey.
This is the survey. Thank you. You can see, do you want to maybe talk about this one?
Yeah. So, north is up this survey here. So, the building you see is the existing warehouse from Northeast Hardwoods. And currently there is a tax property line right here. Jamie is purchasing an additional 7 or so acres from Dale, which brings it up to the road where, Stewart's is just on the other side there.
So it's
It's a stream in
6.838 acres is what you're
I
purchasing?
misspoke.
Yeah, so after adjustment, it's a total of 10.84 acres.
Okay,
So it's gonna go right up to that road across, so that road will block through from Stewart's.
That's right. So we'll be opposite Stewart's there. Yep. If you go to the next slide, it gets a little bit more imagery to that effect. Yeah. Right. And so we'll be removed. So the lot line adjustment is to remove this line here and consolidate the two parcels together. And this blue dotted line is the ditch/stream that runs through the property and under the culvert to the other side towards Sissy Mountain.
so the blue dotted line would basically be drainage, easement type stuff, or?
So there will be a drainage easement deeded by Jamie to Dale. But yeah, that ditch there serves drainage from kind of all sorts of areas, and that's where our stormwater will drain to.
And-
Treated, of course.
Yeah, I would also make the point that, for the most part, we have already, as this board signed off, to the planning board to conduct the environmental review and address those issues. That's not to say that any of us can ask that and also make the planning board aware if there are, any real concerns, but it's not something that we have to decide on in terms of drainage.
Right. So you guys are an involved agency in the secret review, but they're the lead agency for the review. So if you go to the next image, and zoom out a little, this starts in on the rendering. So this is the existing building. This is the proposed building. There's a connection between the two, and this falls on an access here with the new showroom. There's an accessory apartment on the second floor for Jamie when he's in town. And then this is outdoor storage of the wood. There's another outdoor storage to the rear of this building. There will be a storage water tank here for fire pressure. This is proposed gravel. There's some nice stone walls here. The landscaping is all native. I think it's generally some sort of field mix, meadow mix, right? There's a fireplace right here. If you go to the next image, there's some more renderings.
So really the allure is to try to bring clients into these kind of modern environments. That'll be a showroom and an office. That'll be where part of our workforce works and all of our client meetings take place. And then we bring them down the stone pebble courtyard, past the little fireplace, and into we call it the connector building, which is connecting the warehouse and the mill, and then give them mill tours and show them the materials that's produced. And sorry.
I was just gonna say, you might want to point out how like the circulation and movement of pedestrians through this site is an improvement from what he's got going on in his current site, right? So he's got, he's got design professionals coming to his site right now, but it's not really situated for them. It's like really manufacturing warehouse use. So here he's essentially establishing both uses, and so we've had to control the circulation, and that's why we've got the 3 accesses. Control the circulation so that we've got, safety, there's forklifts and all that stuff. But the design professionals, of course, want to see the product, right? They want to like have the experience of seeing the manufacturing and all of that. And so, there is that interaction that we have to play safely with.
I'm sorry if it went maybe on the last one. So is there pedestrian access back to the town center?
At this point, we don't have any sidewalks proposed. I think it would be good to understand, what the,
Why would you not want people to be able to walk from Stewart's to your site or vice versa?
I mean, I don't know that it's been a decision of not wanting it. We just haven't gotten that far. I know that sidewalks are something that's mentioned in the HMS Hamlet district. So I recognize that that is an interest of the board and the town in general. I think we just need to, we need to better understand what connections you're trying to make before we go slaps the sidewalks down,
But 83 is sort of the end of the Hamlet
Yeah.
plans. We want our total comprehensive plan is a walkable community. And yours is gonna be the fantastic entrance to our community. We want people to be able to see that they can walk our community, that they're gonna have lighting, sidewalks, easy access. And I think we need to take that into consideration. Yeah.
Were you envisioning the sidewalk along Route 82, like within the DOT right of way, or is this something you think could be?
It could be,
Indicated on the private
whatever
property.
works for you guys.
Yeah, so we could kind of pass through some of these. So that's an up close look at the showroom area. Kind of the gathering space.
Very, we're looking, this is gonna be the, essentially the entrance to Cleveland.
Talk of the town.
Yeah.
Scott, sorry, I was late. Kevin, honest question on the sidewalks piece. Is the responsibility of installing new sidewalks on the property? And would that be on the town?
We have the ability, when it's in the comprehensive plan, as development takes place, to request the developer to meet the goals of the town.
Okay.
The town
I
is, and
didn't know.
Yep.
It was,
so in this case, there is in the comprehensive plan, the desire to have a connection from the center of town to the rail right of way on the Speeder property. And here is an opportunity. You can blow it, which the
Right.
town has done 3 times now. With Mitchell doing stuff and nobody
well,
raising this
yeah,
and raising,
there
but
is one
I
there
say,
already.
let's not blow it again.
There is, like goes up to the, I thought there was one in front of Spirits. There is not all. Not all the way, but it goes to the end of Storage property.
It's to the end of the story, so I say continue it.
Right, so but then would that be on, again, this is not on them, but that would be on the Mitchell property? They would be required to.
They're
pay for
in
that.
a contract
How
with
does that
Mitchell
work?
right now, that it becomes part of their sale price negotiated.
Okay,
Somebody does it, but the town does not have to do it.
yeah, I was just trying to understand whose responsibility the
The
sidewalk.
town may decide they want to contribute.
Say that again.
Well, you can always ask and they can tell you to go pound salt. If you want your project, you gotta do it.
All right, could we skip to slide 15?
Yes.
So this just gives a handy kind of diagram as to what's happening on the site. Again, this is the the open air shed roof with the lumber storage underneath. This is the existing warehouse that's in place today. This is that kind of connector piece. Again, it's an interaction between the showroom and the mill, the warehouse. This is the actual mill. There's another open air shed with lumber storage. We have, we'll show you another site plan, but there's also over in this area are some manufacturing aspects, the kiln, the dust collector, refuse, that sort of stuff. And then, do you mind going to the most current site plan? Sure. Which I think, sorry, would be in the submission we sent, you know, for the ZBA. You don't mind to want to be looking at the most current. Yes, that one. Yep. So that's the title. If you go to the next page. Up there. I'm like, where's the rest of the drawing? Okay. So it looks like it's just taking a little time to load. So this is the detailed site plan when we get to it. Which essentially shows kind of the same as the diagram, just with a lot more like detailed checks to go with it. But maybe I'll launch into the variances that we're seeking. Sorry, it's not wondering. That's okay. 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 variances we're seeking. You know, so the Hamlet zoning, I'm sure, was written probably not with this particular project in mind. So, you know, it's not exactly. Does seem like it's just not loading, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, we could go back to the other one. It's close enough. Yeah, okay, so this is I think if you go to number 14, okay, yeah. That's the photometric plan. Okay. Right, so the zoning says that the maximum principal structure can have a footprint area of a maximum of 6,000 square feet. And our maximum principal structure is essentially this building, which is, you know, 2 buildings with a connection, which just makes it massive. And it's 47,650 square feet. So it's a difference of around 41,000 square feet. The zoning also says a maximum principal structure can have a gross floor area of 12,000. So that's, you know, not just the footprint, how high you go and all the rest of it. And because we have more than one principal structure on the site, we have 66,000 square feet or so proposed. Again, the max permitted was 12,000, so we're looking for a variance of 54,000. It's only allowed to have one principal building on the site, and we're proposing 3. Because we have warehousing on the site, so we have manufacturing, we have warehousing, and we have the showroom, which is kind of it's a retail office use, basically. The warehouse actually requires a special use permit in this zoning district. And so warehouses are required to have 100-foot setback from the roadway. So this is our warehouse. It's clearly not at 100 feet. We're proposing 21.6, so that's a difference of about 78 feet. Minimum off-street parking. For all the uses, the zoning says we need 331 parking spaces. But as you know, sorry, is that right? No, sorry, that's I'm looking at the wrong one. The required was 105. Sorry. But Jamie's got an operation going and he knows how much parking he needs. So he's told us he needs 32 parking spaces, and that accounts for visitors coming, his staffing, and all the rest of it. The maximum front yard, so you guys have like a form-based code here where you're trying to bring buildings closer to the road, right? So the maximum front yard permitted is 25 feet, but we're going beyond that. And we have to pick our most egregious disruption of that. And in this case, you can't see it here, but it's our water tank, which is all the way back at 331 feet. We obviously have other things closer to the road, but that's the worst. We went over
How
parking.
close is the showroom to the road, to the?
not dimensioned on this one. But let's see, it's 3. I would guess about 100 feet from 83. It kind of depends on where you split 83 and 82. We need a variance for loading. We're required to have 9 spaces, and we have 1. Again, Jamie knows what works for his operation. And then finally, the stream has a 100-foot buffer on it, regulated by the town. And we're basically totally situated within that 100-foot buffer. We're leaving about, I think we're about 5 feet off in some places, but we're pretty well into that buffer with all the things that we wanted to do. And so those are the requested variances at this point. Now, it isn't a wetland of this, the stream at least is not the wetland of the sort that's kind of at the same elevation, right? It's a stream, so it's got a top of bank. There are wetlands over here, you see, here, and over it here.
What would be the coverage of the 10 acres?
The total impervious, should have that somewhere. Give me a minute and I'll see if I can find it. It might be on the title sheet, but that would be on the other plan sets.
That's parking behind. That's where your
Yeah,
staff and everybody would be. parked.
That's right.
Oh, okay.
yeah, and then the visitors
Yeah.
here, separation.
So see like the gravel area on the north side of the stream.
Mm-hmm.
With, gravel path or something leading. Is is there? So Jamie, what's different to me, this is significantly more square footage than you showed before. Significantly closer inclusion to the wetlands. And one of the things that we did in our concept discussion is that everybody is really wants to see this happen. It just, I'm actually, it's a lot different than what we originally talked about. I mean, in terms of the space, and that's not to say that we can't work through it. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
I'm actually, it's
It's a lot.
it's a lot bigger.
The mill, when we first talked, the mill was gonna be about 20,000 square feet. Now I think it's 22,000. That didn't grow. And Karen, correct if I'm wrong on this. I think the only other big change was that the showroom was gonna be 1 building, and we made it 2. That was not in the original rendering. I should have brought that.
Oh, point to, so I see this narrow T-shaped one. Isn't that the showroom?
Yes,
Yeah, it's technically 2 buildings. It's a little bit easier to see on the rendering.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can see that there is a T to the west and then a little square to the east, at the end of the T, right?
Yeah,
So that's your 2 building.
yeah.
But I think that what's significantly larger was that we had the existing warehouse. And then behind it, we were gonna have what's now the other gray area to the west. What I wasn't anticipating was this significantly larger space to the north.
I'm not sure when you saw it last, but I will say that this building recently gained floor area going to the east about 20 feet, and that it was a result of him really sharpening his pencils. Like honestly, he was looking at what he had. He knew what kind of machinery he needs to put in there, and he was like, guys, we have to make this bigger. The other thing is that the spread here, it's about the tractor trailer that comes in, the maneuvering of the garbage truck, the safe passage and required aisles for driveway and reversing of parking. Like I mentioned, there's the kiln and the dust collector. Both of those are actually, they function as what do you call them, containers and they basically back into them, right? And they drive them away. So, there's a lot of maneuvering that's going on. We also have the loading space, and that has an elevation change. So that can only be in a certain place, where it can provide functionality between the various buildings. And then he needs to function between the two buildings with the forklift. So the doors have to be aligned in a certain way. And the circulation is like, you think, oh, I've got all this space, but I gotta tell you, it's like when you get right down to it, it's not that much.
And I know that, some of my questions are, initially just main processing, is a significant change from what we saw or discussed the last time. And these are more planning board site plan. Is there an illustration that shows the public, like, for instance, I see all of the employee parking maybe closer. Are those gravel areas on the north side of the stream? Would that be available for employee parking as opposed to paving closer to the wetland? Can we we're supposed to give the minimum feasible variance. Can we reduce the intrusion on the wetland if there was employee parking on the other side of the creek?
Still though, they'd still need a variance because they still would be 100 feet. Even if you moved that, right? Like it's still, there's nowhere there that they're gonna get 100 feet in the street. They're gonna need the variance no matter what, even if they move the curb.
But if our job is to try to minimize the intrusion, could the employee parking be up there? I see a big gravel area up to the north. Could that be employee parking?
There's stream on the north too, doesn't it come
But it may not be wetland.
down?
So
I mean,
I guess what I'm
there's a
looking,
100-foot buffer.
is there an illustration that shows the
Right.
wetland boundary with that site plan?
Yeah, I mean, this does show the wetland boundary. We're doing an update, but actually it's the same. So we were just double checking the northern. You see this dash, dot, dot, dash. I don't know if you can zoom in a little. That's the northern edge of the wetland. It juts. Yeah, yeah. And then it juts in here a little bit. And then it's off, it's down again and then right here.
Karen, how far is it from the parking behind the open shed room in the southeast corner?
If you'll scroll down, Trisha, thanks. I mean, this distance here is like, I think it says 20. I can't start to read that. That's 24. I think that's 29. So if that's about 30, I'd say that's about 17 or so from the actual wetland. But we get a grade, so this is not the end of disturbance, right? You have to grade out.
Yeah. This is just me trying to process it. It's very different and significant.
Where is the property line? Now, is the property line on the other side of the
Property
the
line is
drainage?
here. So he owns property on both sides of the stream
Okay,
to the north, right? And then here it's on the inside. You see the ditch is there.
Mike,
okay, it's my packet. It's a skinny packet.
Yeah, it's a bit out here, your line.
So that should, if you don't mind, I can look and find the impervious area. If you're curious about that stuff, it's in here. So the physical area to be disturbed is 5 acres of about 10.8 acres. And then impervious is 2.092, so 2 acres, which will bring the total impervious because you have existing impervious, right? From the existing warehouse, existing gravel to 3.6 acres.
from,
So
so the existing was,
I don't know what the existing was. It's 3.6 minus 2. What? I guess it.
very ambitious project.
And, you know, so process wise, we talked about what a difficult dance this was. You have the planning board in control of the site plan review and us trying to come up with variances that would allow the site plan to happen. That's essentially the position that we're in. And it's, you know, something that has to be worked out. And I haven't talked with Mike Stabile, the chair of the planning board, but geez, it would be good for the two boards to now with a real site plan to actually talk together.
Yeah.
And because I think everybody wants this to happen, it's a question of what's the best design, and if we've never shared any concerns that we have, there could be adjustments that would both satisfy concerns here and satisfy concerns with the planning.
So I can say that the engineer, George Schmidt, asked us to pull away as best we could from wet. We did. And so I think our variance application went into prior to that. I won't say it's a major change, but we did what we could to sharpen our pencils and really like, you know, be as careful with our grading and tighten things up as much as we could. But it is just a very challenging site. I mean, you're just like surrounded by this stream. I mean, it's really like,
It's actually what,
Could you just first show us where the entrance to the property is?
sure.
And if a truck was gonna come in, where would it come in and where would the cars all enter? The staff would enter from 83?
Yeah, so this is all the entries are on 83.
Okay,
And this is the visitor's entrance.
yeah.
I think the trucks come in this way and they leave this way. Is that your understanding?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, that's-
Yep. So I assume that the employees will come in up here as closest to them.
And you have quite a bit of property on the north side of the
the
drainage
stream.
ditch.
So on the
Really
north,
nice.
everything with Tim Howard had.
Yeah,
Yeah.
where his little buildings are and everything right next to.
so the north side right now is functioning as the location of our expansion area for the septic, which we're required to do, you know, when, I'm sure you guys know. When you build a septic, you have to have an area in case that original septic fails, right?
Yeah.
So that's where our expansion area is over there. So it is serving a purpose, though it may not seem like it is right now. We have to directionally drill beneath the stream there.
100% expansion there, but what if?
Yeah, I believe so.
The next planning board meeting, that the public hearing.
That's Wednesday, June 11th. She's not buying this is.
My house.
So these variances though that she's requesting. Change requesting is the pre-existing building, pre-existing building is one, right? And so, you know, like the setback, the square footage, I mean, even without adding on the additional square footage, it's already pre-existing. Yeah. So, I mean, at least for some of those, I don't have a problem with those variances at all, and for pre-existing building and stuff. That's just my perspective.
And our addendum, our narrative addendum goes through all these state rationale, just to kind of pull out the distinguishing characteristics of each variance and why we're asking for it, and how we think it meets your criteria, the 5.
Scott, for what it's worth, we have shoehorned in. There's not a lot of breathing room on this property. Admittedly, I kind of wish I did that. I'm sure Karen would say she told me. We'll be fine. It is tight.
Yeah.
I mean, this secondary septic field, I mean, that is a big hit. You know, I think
I've
that's a
seen a lot of come across that.
Yeah, that is very difficult in Pine Plain with the requirement. Often these are, you know, historic lots of small size and ask a commercial endeavor to have 100% exchange in the area. It's makes it really tough, which is why at some point, public sewer is really important.
And just along that point, the reason we have the septics where they are is because they worked well. As you know, the area has high water table, and you know, it's not every part of it.
Where are you putting that septics?
So here's the primary is here,
Okay.
and then the secondary is on the other side. Yeah.
You know, right now
Now
we're
it's funny because you do video for septic that it's not something kind of.
Well, we met with the DOH actually already on the project, so it's not large. So we're
Well, that's 30, 40 years ago.
oh okay, yeah, yeah. Well, the site has changed quite a bit. There's quite right. So,
Yeah, I planted all those because in pine trees.
oh, you did
Oh, really?
okay along the road there.
Wow. Right now, we occupy a few different properties, one in Pine Plains, one in Hudson, and we are busting out of those. We commute back and forth. Our truck drives about 30 minutes back and forth twice a day. It's so inefficient, very expensive to do that. We're really trying to get everything on one property, the whole team together, minimize our costs, minimize the inefficiency. I would trim wherever we could if there was something to trim, but everything on there is honestly the thing that's probably going to go is the crash pad, the apartment. That doesn't open up any square footage. Right.
Yeah, I mean, frankly, when you told me he wanted to expand that building 20 feet, are you sure? Are you sure? But you know, I mean, you're only going to build it once, right? I mean, there's no point going to this level of effort. Not going to get what you need.
I mean, Scott, I know you've been there, but like this thing is the biggest pain property right here. It's like perfectly good land that apparently is wetlands. So we're saying all of this.
Gems in a little bit.
It's just such a it's shot. You know, this water tank is like a new issue for pressure. We're really trying to make it work, but there have been some unforeseen challenges.
So you'll be connected to the town water system, correct?
So we have domestic water coming down, but the pipe gets smaller, right, as it kind of hits 83, I think, or maybe right just north of there. So the pressure dies. So there is no pressure for fire flow. So we have to resolve that so that sprinklers, which is required by fire code.
So I'm sure you did the cost analysis as to enlarging the pipe versus building a tank.
Well, we're talking about that.
We know what the tank costs. And so far, I'm told the tank is less than.
Yeah, I understand that. It's a economic decision to
Might
decide.
be less in price, but maybe in space it's costs more.
Anybody have any experience pumping from this pond over here?
No, the ponds are new.
Yeah.
They just got built within the last 5 years. I'd like to see, again, since this is gonna become the entrance to Pine Plains, can we go back to your?
Let's look at
You know, this is what you're really
Right.
gonna sell here, the real
Yes,
pretty.
let's go to the pretty
Let's
one.
go to the real pretty stuff.
Okay, so the inspiration is a Northern California vineyard where you can kind of meander around and walk around. Sorry if I'm covering over you.
No,
It's supposed to be a really welcoming, natural environment, even though we're manufacturing here.
You mean a Hudson Valley vineyard?
A Hudson Valley vineyard.
There you go.
It'll be the first. So we're really trying to keep the land really really green, really beautiful, really natural. You know, we'd love to make build or make sculptures for the property. This is 83. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Certainly not
But-
that attractive now.
But the materials are, great barn siding, really beautiful field stone walls here. This fireplace probably has to move a little bit, but like a really beautiful, it's gonna be Adirondack chairs there. And we're not allowed to have events, but it is totally a casual environment. Then we're gonna welcome anybody who wants to come hang out, see the property.
Well, zoning can always be changed where you might build it.
So
You have the bridging back.
That's not part of the plan.
Yeah.
I made the mistake of saying, oh, yes. And then everybody was like,
Oh, they had a meltdown.
septic.
we try to design the roof lines to be very similar, so it's kind of a mellow, cohesive look. There's a lot of glazing, a lot of glass that makes it kind of transparent, welcoming. So here, we're calling this the gallery. It's not an official art gallery, but we'll have like really beautiful art objects and wood objects in here that people will see. Nice little sculptures here and wooden benches. This is the stream. There's a footbridge over there that we have to probably maintain or beautify or
Yeah, it's not gonna be functional for his staff across to the other side, but we will maintain it. Won't let it deteriorate.
but we all know what this building looks like now. I think it's like a major wasteland.
Yeah. And
The bar is low.
we all.
The bar is very low.
That's where I excel. Low bars.
Yeah. So is 9 a picture of the showroom too? Slide 9?
Yes,
Yeah, let's do that.
Very okay.
Yeah, great, right?
Is this an outdoor fireplace then?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Again, it probably has to move a few people, but you get the idea. Here's the glazing. There's gonna be a little kitchen there to welcome our guests, offer them coffee. And this will be offices here, but they can meander into the showroom either outside or they'll be connected interior. This will be like a little mini bird bath or reflecting pond of some kind.
Yeah, I love this as an entrance to Pine Place. Very nice. No, process wise, how? So I think that, our choices here as a board, and we've seen what it is to me. It was more and larger square footage than what maybe was first presented or I envisioned. It doesn't change my opinion. It's a very important project for the town. Very well thought out. And the question is process, are you comfortable? And so I guess that, our choices are, have they declared your environmental assessment complete and they're looking for it? It seems like there's a secret review process here.
Yep.
Where there's sort of findings and conditions that the different boards might add to that. Do we have to do that before we go forward?
so right now, the planning board just declared the agency for the review, so you're kind of in the guts of the review. I think this is the time where you raised concerns about environmental resources potentially affected, and ask those questions. That they have to make the determination, whether, let's hope it's a negative declaration, meaning we don't need an environmental impact statement. And after that, then you're able to, as a board, make your decision on approvals. But you are an involved agency in the seeker review.
So we sort of need the secret review to be complete before we can move forward with our approvals.
I think we can hold the hearing and all that, but yeah, everything sooner. And right word. Excellent.
So
we consider them all at once, or we can have 7 different decisions.
no, it doesn't happen all at once. There's 2 separate boards unless you want to meet with them and have it on the same
No,
night.
I mean, eventually we will have to consider all 7.
Oh, yeah, that'll all happen as part of one decision, I would anticipate.
Yeah, that's
And so the question in my mind, and I'm sort of asking it both to the applicant, and to the board members, what they're comfortable with. It seems like that we need to wait for the environmental review to be complete. We could hold a public hearing regardless and recognizing that that's only for people to come potentially and raise concerns. We would not be in a position to make any decision. So, the question is, should we, and I asked this to the applicant too. We could hold a public hearing as soon as next month, or do we wait until probably next month, the planning board may be closer to finish the environmental review. And then we would hold our hearing, that would be June, we would hold ours in July.
So
I put that out for
as the
everybody.
novice in the room, you don't combine public hearings on June 11th?
I was gonna ask the same thing.
Yeah, do we have to have separate public hearing?
We just did our mailing for this last week.
Or did you have it right after, at this, on the same night, from the same people?
I guess it depends on what the mailing advance.
Theirs would be the third Wednesday, correct?
Second,
Second,
July. Ours would be June, but
Mailing had to be done by today or to be 10 days anyway.
I don't know the protocol where. The ones would come, just specific to the planning board. Period, but I don't know if that's-
yeah, no, it would need to, it would need to be a separate.
Okay.
I think assuming they need a 10-day advance warning public hearing notification period, that vote has sailed. That 10 days today
For the June 11th.
For the.
for the June 11th. Yeah.
So then the question is June, whatever is it, 21st or July 1, the July event?
We may know by then that they've, gotten past their different, environmental,
Probably the best way to go.
and so we could, 10. So, but theirs is, June 11th, you would still have time. We could say tonight that we would hold ours on the fourth Tuesday of June, the hearing.
Yeah.
And you'd be safe in doing it because we would know, well, even if they haven't resolved their environment, we can still hold a hearing.
Yes.
So that would be my suggestion.
Prefer to have your hearing first because of whatever comes out of that, if there are changes
all
that
be
need to be that
Yeah.
made, the process moves faster that way.
Karen, you prefer to have their hearing first before what?
No, just I would prefer to have their public hearing in June as opposed to waiting until July. Just because of push.
Yeah, because then you can make a decision. And they have started the environmental piece, right? That has been, the planning board is on top of them?
Yeah, there is the environmental assessment forms part of our record.
It did do it, okay.
But
We're working through George's comments. I asked him so George Schmidt is the engineer from CPL, and he issued us comments, like a first draft of comments, and we addressed those and said that we, kind of got smushed with the submission deadline. So we said, we'll submit the updated SWIP after that. And I asked him at the meeting last week, do you have more comments for us? He said, I don't have any more comments for you, just submit the SWIP. So, we haven't gotten any written comments from Warren or Blansky, who's the attorney. So I guess my point is, I'm not seeing a lot of issues with the comments. We are doing a noise assessment today. The readings, the sound meter readings were taken. And that information should be available at least in the executive summary form for submission for the planning board's June 11th meeting. So I think, if you're interested in looking into what gets submitted, Trisha can flag up what's available. But that's the only major change, major update before you. Right, we wanted the wetlands had been done at a point when Jamie hadn't decided to purchase the property across the stream. So we went back and had the wetlands delineated up north side of the stream just to make sure, because we have to maintain 100-foot buffer septic. And also his so.
One thing I will say about that additional land, that land was purchased not out of desire, but out of need for septic. But it also gave us an opportunity to keep that where the huts are, to make that beautiful, do something nice with that.
Control. It's got that nice stone wall right there at the corner.
Again, I know I'm repeating myself, but we're trying to keep it as green and natural as possible.
Yeah, no, you become our entrance to town. And I like what I'm seeing. All right, so. Anybody have other comments they would like to add? I think that. I mean, what I would say is that we go ahead and schedule the public hearing for the fourth Tuesday.
Yes.
Um. I do think that it would be not to hold a, formal gathering, but each of us should try to walk that site between now and then.
Yeah.
That you can actually say to the public that, look, I've been out there, I've looked around, I'm familiar with it, I can answer legitimate questions that come up.
So are not going to be part of what you're purchasing, right?
Yeah, they
No.
are.
They're outside.
Well,
No,
They're outside of.
not those new ponds. They're outside.
The new
of
parts, that's what I'm talking about. They're not part of.
They're not part of it.
I know
the
that's
stream stuff.
right. Okay.
I told them, you don't want any part of the ponds.
Not that this matters, but what is the purpose of those ponds? Were they put in for a specific reason?
Um, things that I probably shouldn't say on camera, but.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to get
So we haven't seen-
after the commercial.
That's wetland. It's right. So
What time is the public hearing on the 24th?
7:30.
Stuff, all right.
Thank you for making it tonight.
Other questions or concerns that people have about? Trying to proceed with this, again, it was. I'll be honest, it would seem to be a larger expansion than what we initially had a discussion about.
It probably is. I'm starting to remember.
But I'm still, again, to me, it's a very important project for the town.
Yeah.
And to the extent that we can. Try to see that it happens here in the town center. That's what our entire master plan is about. Yeah. And I do tell you that you need to put some thought into how you can accommodate some sort of pedestrian and a trail linkage to the other end of Dale's property. I don't know if it becomes part of the negotiation or you just have to say, look, we'll make provisions along 82, 83 to get us. Because I'm sure that if we can get to the county highway garage, the county will work with us. And then we're just a couple hundred feet short of the speed of property. And so I'm sure that we can make something work out.
Please, it's just block down.
Yeah, yeah.
So just to be clear though, it's any type of connection. It could be like a gravel sidewalk. Because the reason I ask is it would be incredibly expensive to put a formal sidewalk in the right of way of the state road there.
Oh, yeah.
And then we'd be opening a can of worms for the state.
I don't know if there's room to do it outside of the state right away. It doesn't have to be in the state right away where you have to get all those permits. Maybe look at your site plan. Is there, and it could even be around
It could be
in the rear of your property.
Yeah, okay.
It could be on the north side of the creek.
And then cross over off drive.
In fact, if you're, trying to do trail stuff, probably more pleasant in between stewards. Up on the road.
Let's make it cross through. Can't do it on the county or state highway. It would be prohibitively expensive and lengthy review process.
But you could do it on.
But it's your property, right? So you
On the
could,
north side, you're.
yeah, they're saying, yeah, connect from the sidewalk, we can make a gravel connection, a path, a trail through your property.
Where that bridge is.
Say that again? Oh, yeah,
Right where the bridge is.
exactly.
Yeah.
Right over the drive.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think that'll actually add to the aesthetic value. I mean, it'll be cool.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure it didn't have to be concrete, because
As a state will release 18 inches of the assessing center of support you.
yes, I can imagine.
18 inches.
18 inches of property for that damn sidewalk. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. So. They will give you a hard.
Yeah, it's a very likely process.
Yeah, and for trails and that kind of stuff, actually walking along the creek might be a lot nicer than walking along the road. So, you know, whatever, which side of that little drainage basin or, you know, show us a way that we can get to the county property and we can count on the county to give us access across their property.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Right.
Our only other agenda item was the approval of the March minutes, since they're, you can get a chance to look at them, and are they willing to?
I did, I'll make the motion.
In a second, that. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor will say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Maybe not. Anything else we have? Good, I'm actually gonna get an hour off here.